An algorithm scans millions of global market indicators every single second to detect microscopic anomalies in digital order books. A server bank in Virginia processes 45,000 independent financial data points to predict the next macro asset rotation. Most investors lose 82% of their compounding potential because of emotional biases during sudden market corrections. The autonomous blueprint solves this inefficiency by replacing human hesitation with raw computational decision infrastructure. Engineers configure local N8N nodes to establish a continuous pipeline between global liquidity pools and deep learning models. This specific setup executes complex portfolio optimizations in less than 14 milliseconds without any human supervision. The process begins with live data ingestion, moves into advanced neural network inference, and completes with an automated ledger update. A single API call transmits the strategic reasoning output from a local DeepSeek model directly to an encrypted portfolio vault. This digital agent operates with a fixed risk tolerance parameter to protect active capital from unexpected systemic drawdowns. Traditional wealth managers require a 2% annual fee to underperform standard baseline market index funds. The autonomous algorithm achieves a 300% increase in structural efficiency by compounding interest every hour instead of every quarter. Heavy vehicle fleets and logistics companies spend billions of dollars annually trying to optimize supply chain finance.
Artificial intelligence agents now deploy predictive liquidity models to automate corporate treasury functions across multiple international jurisdictions. The automated framework begins with raw cash flow scanning, moves into automated dividend capture, and completes with programmatic equity rebalancing. A high-refresh monitor displays live cryptographic signatures confirming that each digital transaction adheres to strict safety bounds. Quantitative developers spent 5 years and $1.2 billion perfecting these autonomous workflows for institutional investment banks. Today, a 20-year-old student can launch the exact same digital architecture from a standard local computer terminal. The neural network calculates a precise mathematical trajectory to maximize passive income streams through defensive dividend capture strategies.
This system operates 24 hours a day and 7 days a week without experiencing cognitive fatigue or capital burnout. Over 94% of legacy financial institutions are currently racing to replace traditional trading desks with autonomous agent technology. The shift from manual asset tracking to algorithmic portfolio orchestration marks the true singularity of private wealth generation. Autonomous digital architectures will soon manage the majority of global capital distribution networks. A liquid crystal display illuminates a dark room as a Python script establishes a secure handshake with an external database. Microscopic copper traces on a custom printed circuit board route electrical currents at 98% the speed of light. High-frequency data packets travel through fiber optic cables submerged deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean floor within 60 milliseconds. A mechanical cooling fan spins at 4,000 revolutions per minute to dissipate heat from an overclocked silicon graphics processing unit. The mathematical architecture utilizes a multi-layered convolutional neural network to parse historical price charts and macroeconomic news feeds. An automated bot monitors 150 independent decentralized exchange smart contracts simultaneously to find fractional price discrepancies across various execution layers. The structural workflow begins with raw price parsing, transitions into computational alpha generation, and finishes with programmatic asset deployment. Legacy banks waste 41% of their operational budget navigating bureaucratic clearing systems and manual compliance review pipelines. The modern autonomous agent bypasses traditional banking intermediaries by verifying ownership records directly on a distributed digital ledger. A digital oscilloscope visualizes the intense computational spikes occurring inside the local server during a heavy market liquidation event. The specialized automation engine matches incoming order streams against a deep reservoir of historically proven risk parameters. A software developer modifies an M110 spring configuration inside an external simulation to test structural physical boundaries. The algorithmic framework evaluates 250 distinct capital allocation rules before generating a single validated transaction payload. A graphical user interface maps out a complex web of interconnected conditional logic nodes glowing with neon blue indicators. The autonomous processing sequence begins with volatility computation, triggers behavioral bias filters, and delivers a final portfolio weight modification. Wall Street firms spent 14 years and $7.3 billion constructing low-latency microwave towers to gain a 3-millisecond advantage. Individual network developers now deploy open-source language models to achieve identical cognitive processing speeds on personal hardware. The automated system tracks dividend distribution schedules across 500 major corporate equities to capture consistent yield opportunities. A thermal imaging camera reveals intense energy dissipation concentrating around the central processing core during live inference tasks. Over 87% of retail market participants abandon their quantitative strategy during periods of heightened global macroeconomic uncertainty. The robotic system maintains absolute mathematical discipline by isolating execution logic from psychological panic and external media influence. Digital agents execute precise rebalancing actions across disparate asset classes to maintain a perfectly optimized compounding curve. A solid-state drive reads structured database tables at 7,000 megabytes per second to update the internal machine learning model. The process begins with signal detection, escalates into cryptographic validation, and concludes with absolute structural risk mitigation. A mechanical keyboard clicks rapidly as a terminal operator adjusts the core model weights of an advanced financial agent. The server interface displays a continuous stream of green success logs indicating error-free integration with global information networks. Traditional estate planning fails to account for the exponential velocity of autonomous digital wealth generation mechanisms. The predictive algorithm maps out a 30-year compounding trajectory based on microscopic variations in global interest rate parameters. A specialized neural network layer shields the main deployment framework from malicious adversarial data injections and network spoofing attempts. The autonomous architecture represents a permanent shift away from traditional human-centric portfolio management methodologies. An optical sensor detects the precise moment a user initiates a full system diagnostic report across the entire local node cluster. The automated pipeline filters out 99% of raw network noise to isolate high-probability trading signals in real time. A robotic arm adjusts a testing apparatus inside a laboratory evaluating advanced semiconductor thermal dissipation efficiency metrics. The operational framework begins with historical correlation scanning, enters real-time anomaly detection, and finishes with defensive capital preservation. A high-resolution screen flashes a visual alert as the system detects a major liquidity shift in an overseas banking sector. The processing core executes an automated hedge protocol within 8 milliseconds of a major macroeconomic announcement. Modern developers utilize localized automation containers to isolate critical data pipelines from external public network vulnerabilities. The system measures performance metrics across 12 distinct portfolio dimensions to calculate an absolute mathematical efficiency score. An advanced machine learning model forecasts localized volatility patterns by analyzing the digital footprints of institutional block orders. A silver coaxial cable delivers a high-speed data stream directly into a localized hardware security module. The architectural process begins with asset class stratification, initiates algorithmic variance testing, and completes with localized ledger settlement. Over 68% of international hedge funds now rely on autonomous reinforcement learning loops to manage active capital pools. The automated system converts raw computational power into a continuous engine for systematic private wealth expansion. A software engineer initiates a remote shutdown sequence to update the underlying network communication protocols securely. The local computing rig processes complex multivariable calculus equations to determine optimal asset distribution ratios. A green light-emitting diode blinks continuously on an external storage array to indicate active file system encryption. The autonomous agent updates its internal cognitive framework by absorbing thousands of updated technical documentation files every evening. Traditional financial advisors require extensive manual documentation to execute a standard portfolio rebalancing operation. The automated blueprint completes an identical operation across multiple global platforms with a single programmatic instruction. A high-refresh display visualizes the real-time interaction between independent autonomous agents inside a simulated market ecosystem. The internal workflow begins with market regime identification, proceeds to tactical asset allocation, and resolves with instant digital execution. Quantitative analysts spent 8 years developing specialized software wrappers to link legacy databases with modern intelligence models. The localized architecture allows private users to retain full sovereignty over their underlying financial computation pipelines. An external power supply unit maintains a steady voltage flow to prevent data corruption during intense processing cycles. The system cross-references 1,000 historical market crashes to build a comprehensive defensive shield against systemic economic failure. A digital camera captures the reflection of complex code lines moving across a glass workspace panel. The machine learning model isolates structural price trends by discarding temporary market noise and short-term speculative anomalies. The automated framework begins with target yield definition, moves into programmatic risk budgeting, and achieves final structural optimization. Over 91% of modern algorithmic infrastructure relies on open-source software libraries maintained by independent global developers. The autonomous blueprint empowers individual creators to build institutional-grade digital management systems from a single room. A localized server node flashes a bright green confirmation signal across the network terminal interface. The predictive engine maps the long-term compounding effects of hourly dividend reinvestment strategies against historical inflation data. A high-speed network switch routes millions of digital information packets to different specialized processing cores every minute. The automated system guarantees absolute operational consistency by executing predefined mathematical formulas without human variance. A mechanical plotter draws a complex architectural schematic of a modern autonomous agent data center facility. The development process begins with sandboxed environment testing, enters restricted capital validation, and scales into full production deployment. Modern computing systems leverage advanced parallel processing architectures to analyze multiple market depth charts simultaneously. The localized financial agent minimizes network latency by maintaining direct socket connections with core data providers. A cooling system pumps specialized non-conductive liquid directly over an array of high-performance processing chips. The autonomous framework continues to monitor global capital movements to detect the early signatures of institutional accumulation. A computer monitor displays a detailed breakdown of token consumption metrics following a massive data processing run. The neural network optimizes internal neural pathways to maximize computational efficiency while minimizing total electrical power draw. The structural sequence begins with liquidity layer discovery, transitions to algorithmic execution mapping, and fulfills the predefined compounding objective.
Legacy asset management frameworks face inevitable obsolescence as autonomous digital workers assume control of global networks. The future of wealth generation belongs to those who build and control the ultimate digital architecture.